Good morning. Hello. Wave if you hear me. Good morning. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Are you ready to bake today? Yes. I'm really excited. We haven't really done a baking session yet. So I'm so happy you're joining me this morning. This is our 5th episode. And we're going to make lemon bars today. Did anyone actually read this book and want to tell me a little bit about it? Lasagna Means I Love You. That's the book that we're going to base the recipe off today. It's actually exactly the recipe that you'll find in the book on page 89. Can anyone tell me a little bit about this book if you read it? Did anyone read the book? We've got some nods, no. Okay. Well, it's a really awesome book. It's all based on all about family recipes. I know that this one was definitely a little bit longer, so I understand if you haven't read it yet. But yeah, we're gonna be using the recipe on page 89. And if you read the book, you'll kind of know why they're called I'm Sorry Lemon Bars. So I do recommend you reading the book. And right away, we're going to get started by preheating our oven. So mine's already preheated. You guys got that going already? Yes, we got thumbs up. All right, and next, we're going to work on our parchment paper. So I did provide parchment paper to all of you. This is kind of what that container looks like. And this just helps. This helps your baked goods release from the pan and makes cleanup a lot easier. So I did not include instructions about scissors or that you would need scissors, but we are going to cut the parchment paper to the size of the pan. So if you do have a helper around, we're going to use scissors and we're going to cut the parchment paper so it fits a little bit better. I know, maybe next time we'll cut that for you. But this is kind of the size that it comes in. We're going to try to do a long one and a short one so that we have parchment paper on both sides. So I'm just going to, I did not cut mine yet. And I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do the side one first. So you're going to cut it and you're going to kind of place it over here and see where you would have to cut so that it lays flat in the pan. So I'm going to cut mine like right here. And then when you go sideways, it'll fit on the bottom. And if it's not exact, that's okay. I'm going to cut mine maybe a little bit more. This pan does have kind of a curved bottom, but you want to try to get it as flat as possible. So there's my side one, or just the shorter side, the width of it. And then I'll do use my longer piece to do the length. So I think we tried to give you 2 sizes. And it's okay if you skip this step. The other option would be to grease the pan with butter or oil. So same thing, I'm going to kind of see how wide the pan is this direction. And then try to cut so that it lays flat. So this one's almost going to be in half. And this is really good for different crusts with pies and things like that. Once again, so that it can release out of there really easily and just be really nice and easy to cut. I got to make a little adjustment. I see a lot of people are getting some help. A lot of you are all getting help with this stuff. There we go. So that's kind of how you want it to look. Let's see if I can take it over here, where you got both sides. You've got the parchment in the bottom, and then when the bars are done baking, you'll just be able to lift them right out. Did that step seem easy enough? I think we've got some helpers going. Some of you are still working. I'm gonna clean as I go. All right. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to the crust. So I'm gonna take one of my bowls here and I'm going to, my butter is a little soft. So mine is gonna be, I'm gonna cream the butter and the sugar right in the bowl. If you wanna use a stand mixer or a hand mixer, you can. I'm gonna do it all in the bowl and I'll show you kind of my process. I've let my butter sit out for a little bit. But if you want to loosen it up just a little bit, you can put that in the microwave for 15 to 20 seconds. I just did a test and cubed it up and then put it in the microwave for 15 to 20 seconds. And just to make it a little bit easier to cream together by hand, I'm going to just kind of slice it up a little bit. Pop that in the bowl. Let's make sure you can see what I'm doing here. Have any of you had lemon bars before? I want to hear from you this morning. We just did some shakes. Nobody's interested in chatting with me today. All right. I'm gonna just step over and grab a whisk. Use another one. So I'm gonna try to use a whisk. And the first step is going to be measuring out the sugar. So we have the powdered sugar is actually all measured out for you. So that's going to be the bag that has the least amount of ingredient in it. So one of them is going to be flour. It's going to be pretty hefty. And then your sugar, your other sugar is going to be pretty large. So it's going to be the smaller bag with the powdered sugar. And that you're just going to be able to pop right in there because we already measured a half cup out for you. And then what I'm going to do is start working it with my whisk. Depending on how soft your butter is, it may be a little harder. I'm going to have to work at it a little bit. My butter is probably a little too hard, but we're going to make it work. And it's getting stuck in my whisk. So hand mixer, stand mixer. This might take a few minutes to just try to incorporate all the sugar into the butter. As you can see, I should have warmed mine up a little bit more. You can always pop the whole thing in the microwave for 15 or 20 seconds if your butters need some help. Do I need some help? I might need some help. You're right. I might need to pop mine in the microwave really quick because on the outside it was soft, but on the inside I think it was still a little hard from the fridge. So let me see. Let me get this off the whisk. I'm going to pop my own in there. Last time I had some technical difficulties and I'm not slowing you guys down this time. I think someone's already juicing.
Yeah, we've got some stand mixers, some hand mixers.
We got some hand mixing going. All right.
Do you wanna,
oh yeah.
well, here, I'll put it in. I'll put it in.
I'm gonna get a little help. I know some of you are getting some help. I like the hand mixers going. It looks like Ian and Sally are having just the same time I am with my butter, so that's all right. It's a really simple recipe as long as we can get it going. I'm just waiting for a second. I know you guys are working. I'm popping mine in. And last time I only needed like 20 seconds. I did have to put it in another bowl. I know you guys were using stainless steel here. So we just made some quick adjustments. Is anyone done with that step? I saw hand mixer's done.
Not yet.
Soren's good. Thumb up and thumb down. So yeah, we're just making kind of, this is kind of similar how you make shortbread. So it's really just a high amount of butter and some powdered sugar, and then we'll add in the flour pretty soon.
Why does it get so stuck to the spatula? Or the whisk?
That's just how it goes with baking sometimes. So yeah, I softened mine up. Now I'm just gonna keep mixing it in. It's softer. You just might need like, yeah, we're getting there. Okay. It's soft, you're right. It just gets kind of stuck in the whisk. It is a little bit harder without a hand mixer, stand mixer, but it's possible. A lot of things with baking can make, like a stand mixer or hand mixer can make it easier, but it's always good to know that with just a little extra work, you can make it happen. So mine's getting pretty integrated. We're gonna add flour too, so I'm not that worried if there's any like, you know, sugar we couldn't really capture yet. And then the flour has flour for 2 parts of the recipe. So we are gonna measure out the flour. And so first, if you have your butter all integrated, so, you know, I'm still working on getting it off, but I'm gonna kind of wait to fully get it off when I added the flour. So mine still looks like this. I've gotten most of the sugar incorporated, and that's kind of all that matters. Still gonna try to get it off one more time before adding the flour. And then we're gonna take our measuring cups and we're gonna measure 2 cups of flour. I think we're getting there. So your flour's in this large bag. I would dip your whole cup in there and try to get it as level as possible. So you can kind of overfill it. And then what you can do is take like another, maybe like a fork or something. And it's always nice to kind of level it off. So that you know you have a true cup of flour. Making a mess over here, but that's okay. I always make a mess when I bake. My leveling is not going very well. What I'm training you to do. All right. That's all right. I'm going to have leftover flour, so it's okay. I'll just make a mess over here. That's 1. Everybody knows when I've been baking in the kitchen. And then get into 2 here. Same thing. I'm just gonna level that off, maybe into over here. Just gonna continue making a mess.
Yeah, if you keep it on your cutting board.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's just flour. I think I'm missing a little bit, but that's okay. There's 2 cups. And then you're gonna integrate that too into the butter. Oh, I'm getting it everywhere, but you can just start creating pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and get in there with my hands, start to get this butter out of the whisk, start working it in.
Yeah, something like that you could probably.
And you're just kind of looking to make like somewhat loose clumps with the butter. And just start to get most of the flour incorporated. I've kind of been mixing a little crazy, so I hope you're maybe making less of a mess than I am. Gonna try to get the rest of this butter out again. It's getting easier since we have the flour incorporated. Just that kind of initial step with just the butter is kind of tough. But it's coming off of there. I keep mixing it still with that whisk. You can see it start to form together. What I like about these lemon bars is that we're kind of using a somewhat smaller container, but they get a nice thick crust. And sometimes I've had lemon bars with really thin crusts. How is yours looking? Are you getting it incorporated? That's all right. We don't have a lot of steps with this recipe, but certain steps will take a little bit of time. I'll show you how mine's looking. Still trying to get this all out. Mine's kind of looking like this. I know, this part's hard without a stand mixer. I've made these with a mixer, hand mixer. And yeah, we keep getting these clumps out of the whisk. And the next step is just going to be, look at what I did. I'll put this over here. I might need a new cutting board, we will see. And then I'm gonna take my dish, make sure my parchment's in place. And then I'm gonna pour all of that into the dish. So let's see. Try to hug this side so you guys can see it in the other camera. So I'm gonna pour all of that at the bottom. It's gonna be pretty crumbly, like sand. And then you're gonna go hands in, or you can use, you know, if you don't like going hands in, you could always use like the bottom of a glass, a drinking glass or something like that. And you're gonna start to kind of just press that crust in. As you can see, it is a pretty thick crust. If you don't like that thick of a crust, you can always leave some out. I do like these lemon bars with a thick crust, so. You're gonna work it into all the edges and try to make it as flat as possible. I see someone I think is using their measuring cup, which is a good idea too. All right. How's it looking? Are we getting it pretty flat? I see some help. Some of you are getting some help. I'm trying to get it all even on the corners and the sides. It's going to be a nice, tasty, buttery crust. All right. Once that is set, you're actually going to just pop that right in the oven. That's going to be ready to go. Thank you, Kelly. My hands are a little dirty, so I might go wipe them really quick. You guys may need to do the same. I always forget about that part and how much I wash my hands during cooking. So I'll just take 1 minute to wipe off, just wash my hands really quick, and we'll jump right into the rest of the recipe. Alrighty. Now we are going to move to the next step. You are going to need a similar size bowl. So if your small one is a little too small, you just may need another bit bowl from the kitchen. I think I'm gonna use this one, especially because we're gonna use 4 eggs. But to get started, we're gonna focus on the lemons. And this was not included in the recipe, but you do have a choice to add a little lemon zest to your bars. I kept the recipe just like the book, and they did not use lemon zest, but I know you all have a grater, and depending on how much lemon zest you want to put in or how thick you want it, I'm going to grate like a little bit of my lemon to add to my lemon bars, and that's just optional for you. The zest just adds another element, another lemony element to the baking, to the baked dish, and it's kind of a common practice in baking to add just a little bit more lemon flavor outside of the juice. So I'm just going to do that a little bit and collect it. There's different sides to your grater, and you can get finer because you'll see these little shreds in your finished recipe. So I'm going to do a little bit more. You can do all your lemons. Some of you may have a smaller grater or microplaner that helps you get zest. And this is just a little deviation from the recipe that we gave you, but just a good thing that we wanted to include as an option. Where am I going to put this lemon zest? I can keep it on the cutting board. Let's see. Let's collect some of that. Here we go. Then we're going to get to squeezing. That is probably going to be one of the harder parts, just to try to get all the lemon juice you can out of these lemons. I think we've got some grating going on. So we can stick with that for a little bit too. And you kind of got to work your way around the lemon. So once you start seeing the light part, you want to move to a different spot.
It also makes your kitchen smell very citrusy.
Yeah, it smells pretty good in here already. So I think some of you have moved on to the juicing. And you're just going to take, if you want to use a knife, or if your parent or guardian does, I'm going to cut them in half. I may even cut them in quarters just to make sure we're getting all the juice out. You guys know that I'm pretty hands-on, so I think I do have a juicer on the table, but I'm going to try to do it by hand. I think many of you are using a juicer. We give you 3 lemons today. I've seen people use a lot of lemons in lemon bars. If you have another one and you really like the lemon flavor, you can add more. But try to get every drop out to try to get as close as you can to the 7 tablespoons for the recipe. So this one might take a little while, and that's okay. Like we got some late microplaning going. I see someone snacking on maybe some crust leftovers. I'm not gonna lie, I ate some of the crust, some of that leftover butter too, when I made the test recipe. So I'm juicing by hand, so I'm gonna try to catch any seeds, and if not, I'll make sure I get them out after. Everyone's working. I've actually never had one of those juicers that you kind of push the lemon on before, personally. I have a handheld one here. I might use to try to get every last drop out of these kind of ones I've already pressed by hand. I already see I have 1 seed that I got in my bowl. And you can kind of, let's see, I can't see my hands in that angle, but you can always try to catch the seeds with your hand, as we kind of put in the recipe. Move this.
Yeah, that's better.
All right, we're getting through it. It takes a while. I'm trying to squeeze it as hard as I can. I might go back to some of these other pieces and see if there's anything left. Simple recipes do take some work. Even though it's simple, this one has some key steps to it. And definitely fresh lemon juice is recommended here for lemon bars at any time. Keep getting seeds in there. I have not time in the press.
Oh, I put a timer on. No worries.
Just feel it.
15 minutes.
I did not remind you all to put a timer on your crust, but we can take a look at that in a few minutes and check our crust. All right, you guys are working the same way I am. I see some of you have a lot of zest. That's exciting. I was tempted to put that in the recipe, but I did try to keep it the exact same as lasagna means I love you. Alrighty. I keep forgetting my hand towel. Still juicing. I'm gonna keep going. Just gonna pick out these seeds. Try to pick out these seeds. Nobody wants a seed in their lemon bar, that's for sure. But your juicer should be catching those. Let's see. I try to get a little bit more. Got all types of juicing going on. Oh yeah, definitely getting a little bit more with the juicer. So I'm trying to do everything by hand, but that's why they came up with these tools. And then once you guys are ready, I'll check in a minute to see if anyone's ready to move to the next step. Oh yeah, getting a lot more juice out of that. Some of you are just eating lemon. You're right. This one doesn't have as much to snack on during the
Got
recipe.
lemon faces.
Lemon faces.
Sour faces.
That is kind of why this recipe does use so much sugar. You got to balance the tartness out. It feels like it definitely is a lot of sugar for a dessert. But I've tested this recipe and I didn't necessarily think it was too sweet. Is anyone done with this step and want to give me a thumbs up, or are people still working? Okay. If you're all set, then we can move to the next step. I see there's still a little bit of juicing going on. The next step will be the eggs. So I would get the eggs ready. I'm just going to use my same whisk. That's okay. Everybody ready to start cracking some eggs? Yes, that's a confident thumbs up. I like it. All right, I made these nice little cartons for each of you. And I don't know if we've cracked eggs yet this year. I'm trying to think. Well, I'm gonna crack mine on the side of the bowl. Of course, try to not get any shell in there. And then just pop it open right in the middle. So I always try to kind of get that crack right in the middle. And if you get a little shell in there, that's okay as long as you find it. I have not mastered the one hand crack yet, and I'm not going to attempt it today. But some people just kind of do it with one, and then they open up the shell like that. You watch some chefs. It's pretty cool. Maybe one day. And then once you got your eggs cracked, I'm going to use my same spatula just because we're going to add some stuff, and I don't think it's going to impact, you know, the filling at all. So I'm just going to start whisking those eggs up, and you want them really well combined. So I always kind of angle my bowl and try to work kind of toward the bottom. Trying to see what I got to do, like a different angle here to show in the camera over here. But you want it to look pretty solid yellow. This is always the best part. I'm sure you guys are just making scrambled eggs all the time, and you're the lead scrambler, right? We're a quiet group today. Is Ian trying to get some shell out today?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely don't mix it until you make sure you got that shell out. It's a little bit harder to find. I know from experience. Still juicing too. You're all good.
About 2 minutes on that.
Okay. All right. After that, we're going to combine most of the other ingredients. So we've got the sugar. I'm going to make sure my sugar is the right measurement, because we made yours should be the right measurement, but you can definitely check. So it should be 2 cups of sugar. I'm going to have to add some to mine. That's only 1 cup, so pretty level. And you're right, we got a lot of sugar going in, but you'll see it all balances out. There are some recipes that use maybe a little less sugar. Some use more lemon for lemon bars. It kind of just depends. These are definitely a good dessert to share with friends and family. I've been sharing my test batch with people this week, and I've gotten some pretty good reviews. A lot of people have only had like lemon bars from the store, and I do think homemade is just a little bit different. Need a little bit more to make sure my measurements just are right. All right. Yours should be just right. So got 2 cups in there. And then I'm going to add in my lemon juice. You can definitely try to measure it out. I'm hoping that you're close to 7 tablespoons, and if not, that's okay. It should be definitely enough to get that lemony flavor across. So I'm just going to pour all mine right in. And then start mixing. You can also add in those other ingredients. We're going to just do that in 1 second. I did a little initial mix on mine, but let's go back and add the rest. So you should have some leftover flour, and you're going to put 4 tablespoons of flour in. 1. Two. You may have a little bit extra, and that's okay, but I wouldn't pour this one in. I would just see if you can get close. So I think we give you a little extra flour this time. 3. My ingredients are everywhere. I should have made a nice kit for myself as well. 4. Got a few bags going over here. And then, oh, I forgot my zest. So I don't know. You guys can use all your zest. You can also use closer to a teaspoon. I think that's what I'm going to try to shoot for. I think mine's probably about a teaspoon of zest. Maybe you've already added yours in. Mine's pretty close. I know some of you got all the zest off your lemons. And then a little packet should be your baking powder. So we should have almost everything in there at this point. Whip that out. I just put lemon in it. It's gonna be fine. And I just need 1 teaspoon. Yours is in that little tiny packet, and that should be already measured out for you.
So I don't know about anyone else's, but both of our crust is burned.
Oh, already?
I don't know if it's because we have I don't know. Yeah, we did the butter and the powdered sugar, right? That was the cream.
The butter, the powdered sugar, and the flour?
Flour.
And the flour. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe because ours is gluten-free flour. I don't know, but it's burned.
Yeah.
oh no.
I am so sorry. I would not have expected that. I did not test it with the gluten-free flour. And would not be aware if that burns quicker. So you did it for the 15 to 20 minutes and it burned
I had to
already?
take it out before it even got to 15 minutes.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I just
Yeah, I
wanted
would not.
to start checking, maybe checking their crust.
Yeah, so we pulled ours out, and how many minutes do we end up leaving it in there?
About 17.
About 17 minutes.
Mhm.
I cooked mine for a full 20 when I did the test.
How firm should it be? Because ours is still kind of goopy.
So this is how ours looks.
Okay, I'll put my back in.
About 17 minutes at 350.
According to Google, gluten-free baked goods can brown more.
Yeah, I am sorry about that with the gluten-free flour. I would not have necessarily known that. And I'm not sure if maybe we should have provided a different flour. I'm not sure everyone else is on the recipe, but I'm just adding a pinch of salt in to do my 1/4 teaspoon. I did not include the salt for you guys that time, but it'll help balance out the sweetness.
Wait,
So
again.
at this point, all the ingredients should be in there, and I'm going to mix that all up.
We'll pack it and put them in there too. Our crust looks pretty good.
Okay. Good. Yeah, ours is a little brown on the outside. We put ours in for 17. Should look pretty solid. I'm sorry about the gluten-free flour.
Okay, so I think I figured out what it was. It was there was still a sheet pan in the oven from baking regular bread, and so it just generates more heat. So I'm pretty sure that's probably what happened. So no worries, we'll fix it later.
Yeah, I've done some gluten-free baking, but not in a while. And I did provide you guys all, or those who are gluten-free, like a 1-to-1 all-purpose mix. I've only really done gluten-free with like almond flour and things like that. So I just wasn't aware how that 1-to-1 ratio would be.
That's okay. We cook with that all the time, so that's fine.
Like
We'll
the
just, we'll
one-
just simply remake the crust. It'll be fine.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I want you to be enjoying lemon
Hey.
bars today with me as well. so.
Baking is trial and error.
Yeah,
It's very temperamental.
you helped me learn something new today, so that's something we can look out for in the future. Thank you for that. Is everyone ready with their filling and have their crust out? of the oven. Got some thumbs up. Okay. I think we've got everything ready. Everything, and we've combined ingredients till smooth. It's looking beautiful and yellow. Yes. All
Was
right.
the salt in the packet?
There was not salt included this time. So I would put a little pinch of salt, or, measure out that 1/4 teaspoon. I try to provide it when it's definitely a really core ingredient. But hopefully you guys have some salt at home you can pop in. You're right. That would have been a good idea to include it with the baking powder. All right. I've got my little helping hands holding back my parchment. And you can put that right over the hot crust. And I'm gonna just pour that in. You can be gentle. Let's see if you can see. And these are gonna be pretty thick lemon bars. You may need a spatula to get every drop. I'm gonna grab one of my clean ones, although my whole workstation is dirty at this point. So I'm gonna just scrape down the sides of the bowl. Make sure I get every drop of filling in there. And then we're gonna pop that right back in the oven. And yours will not be done by the time we are done with our class today. But they're gonna taste really good, I promise. So is anyone, we're working at it, we're getting close. Is it Morris? Do you already have yours in the oven? Awesome. So you're gonna start to smell that. It's gonna be lovely. And we did bake a little test batch to try with our friends from the Evansville Vanderburgh Public Library today. They're gonna have to, they're just gonna have to bring over some plates and the ones that are done so we can eat together. I'm gonna grab a knife. We're gonna get their first reaction of these lemon bars. It is good to let them cool for a little bit and even put them into the fridge for a little bit, and then they'll set up. Ours were just baked, so we're gonna see how these warm lemon bars are. And I'm gonna show you how the parchment paper pops out. I did use a different pan for this. This is my lemon knife. So the parchment should help you pop out the whole lemon bar at once. We'll see how that goes. It may need a little help on the corners. Maybe in the place the parchment didn't quite reach. Yeah, and I'm already seeing it kind of lift out as I free up these corners. So this one was just a little different because it's in a smaller pan, and it did get a little bit browner than my other ones that I tested. But as you can see, it helped me get them all out really easily. And the ones that we're baking are going to be definitely thicker than this too. I just wanted to have a little taste for our friends.
Can we pour the mixture while the crust is hot, or does it need to cool before we put the mixture in it?
It does not need to cool. Yeah. That's definitely what it said in the recipe too, even in the book. So we're going to stick with that. Like I said, these are going to be a lot thinner than the ones you guys are making today. I just didn't have two of the same glass dish. And another nice element is to, sprinkle a little if you have any extra powdered sugar, either at home or just from the recipe on top. You can use more like of a sifted kind. I'm just going to sprinkle some for my friends here. This gives a nice extra kick, although, there's plenty of sugar in this. So I'm just going to serve them a little bar. They're still a little warm. I would let them almost try to cool completely, but I'm going to pull Erica and Kelly over. You actually compared to my other ones, and we're going to just take a little taste. These ones didn't rise as much, but I think the other ones are going to be completely different.
The crust is really good. Like a shortbread.
Yeah, they're good. I think it's really good, and I'm excited to share the rest of these with my neighbors. I'm excited to hear back from you guys if you like the lemon bars. If yours should be done, let's see, a little bit after noon, right? Almost maybe like 10 minutes after noon. Like I said, this one was a little darker. As long as it looks set, and when you take it out, there's no jiggling in the middle. That means that your filling has set. And then I let mine cool for quite a while before cutting into it. But like I said, it should lift out really easily, and then you can slice it into bars. Do you guys have any questions about our recipe today or the end of the recipe?
I lost all my cookers.
Is it in the oven already?
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, it's time to clean the kitchen. Bye."
That's when they leave. I know. I mean, I hope my helpers stick around, but I did make a big mess, as everyone saw. So
Where did the eggs come from?
the eggs, these ones just came from the store. We tried to get them from Pop Yunkers actually, and they're a local farm. It's actually kind of an interesting time of the year where the chickens, they start to lay less eggs. And so we just couldn't make it happen this time, but we put them on there because they are a source for local eggs. They're like, they have their egg license and everything, and they are available on local source. So there's a few farms I typically get eggs from in this area. So Pop Yunkers is one of them. There's 10 Barge Farm Stand, who also has local eggs. And those are all people or farms that have gone and gotten their egg license. But of course, there's also a lot of roadside stands and things like that where you can get eggs. They just may not have an official egg license. But if you know the person well and know how the chickens are raised, you can make those decisions on whether you want to buy from a neighbor. So yeah, we really tried to get Pop Yunkers. That's why it's listed as the farm. Just with the timing, it didn't work out. So thank you for asking though, because we try to get as much we can from local farmers every time we do one of these classes. This one is probably our least local recipe, and maybe the least seasonal too, but we are entering citrus season. So most of the citrus around the world actually is ready in the winter. So you'll see in the winter different citrus emerge at the grocery store. Things like different types of oranges, like blood oranges, or I'm trying to think of what one of those oranges I really like. Can't think of what it's called.
Kara.
Yes, Kara. Yes, is that what you're gonna say? Awesome. Yeah. So Kara oranges, and it'd be really interesting to see how this recipe could be adapted to different citrus. To make like grapefruit bars, because everything will be balanced out by the sugar with the with the tartness. So I'd love to kind of make a version of the grapefruit bars this winter. Oh, that is one of our timers. And I think there's another bigger grapefruit that I think is really fascinating, the pomelo. So maybe one day in a future class, I can bring in all different types of citrus to talk to you guys about that, or we can provide you different types of citrus in the future. Would that be cool? Maybe we could even do like a special class in the winter outside of this series and invite you all back.
Do you like my oven mitt?
I do like your oven mitt. It's the state of Michigan.
Oh.
Any other questions today? No, I know we're working always through this together. There's always little elements that everyone does a little bit differently depending on what you have in your kitchen. I try to be flexible and also show you as much how to do it by hand, knowing that everyone just doesn't have the same equipment at home. So thank you guys so much for joining me
I want
again.
to say we only have one more session left.
We only have one
this
more
year.
session left. Does anyone know what book we have not featured yet?
The mushrooms.
The mushrooms one. So I think we'll definitely be cooking with mushrooms, and same thing, I hope to get them locally. So we're gonna work with a farmer to try to order mushrooms for you all and do a fun recipe that you guys will like. Because I know mushrooms can kind of go either way. It took me a long time to like them, but I hope we make something pretty yummy and that you'll give it a try. So I'll see you next month for our last session in November. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you. Enjoy your lemon bars. I'm excited to hear back from you all.
Thank you.